DMG, DM Scotty, and this one is about running short campaigns for your RPG. Should you, shouldn't you, and all that jazz. So
all
what?
That jazz.
Jazz hands!
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands! So, what on earth is a short campaign?
A short campaign, it's shorter than a long campaign.
Well, that's easy enough. Well, thank you for coming.
It's good to have you here today. Just like the Gold Grumpy Wizard, we solved your problem in
That's right.
less than a minute.
Less than a minute.
But seriously. Yeah, a short campaign is something that you want to do that is... you don't want necessarily the long form of, say, the novel version of the campaign, right? You want more of a novelette or a short story kind of version, because you can get everything across, quicker. You get... sometimes it's more dramatic because you've gone from here to here quicker, and there's a big drama. It seems bigger, it can seem bigger in that shorter period of time. It's something you also want to run by your players too, because they may want the long form, they may want the long campaign, not a short campaign. So if you work it out with the players, or maybe it's an idea that you as the game master have, I think that would be more what it would be. Like, oh, I have this really cool idea. Let's do a short campaign and see how it goes.
Yeah, you're testing out the world, testing out sort of how to play a campaign. If you're a new DM, 3 to 5 sessions, structure an arc over 3 to 5 sessions, play that campaign, get a sense of how the character progression is working, like how quickly characters progress, all that thing you're learning, that sort of stuff. So it's really good for new DMs to kind of cut their teeth on.
Right.
As a new DM, I would not go into a campaign that's going to last like 10 years. You can learn while you're doing it, but it's better to kind of like, sort of cut your teeth, hone your skills, do that sort of thing with short campaigns, and then move into an epic, especially when you're trying to find the right balance with your players.
Right.
The players are all, if they're new, they're cutting their teeth. You're trying to get the group dynamic going. A short campaign is good for that. And again, with time, time is always a problem.
Right.
So, like you went to Valhalla, you did it over a week. You did a three campaign, a three
session campaign.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about that. Like how did you approach structuring that?
Right. That was an interesting problem, because I go to a lot of conventions, but I run one shots. So I'm very used to doing one shots, right? So I had to make sure I had enough material for three sessions, and have a satisfying, an interesting entry, a satisfying conclusion. And our video earlier we were talking about in media res, and that's essentially pretty much how I started the game. Like, it was in, they find themselves somewhere, they're in trouble, and they have to suss it out quickly. So that was a fun start to it. Just throwing them in the hot water kind of thing. And the whole idea was kind of a strangers in a strange land. So they had to figure out, okay, who's the enemy, who's the good guy, and that's a lot of fun. But, you don't have all that time, that intrigue time. Like, you've got to have encounters that push that narrative along, quick enough so they can still have that sense, but not too slow that they never get where they're going, right? So, it worked out pretty well. It was interesting because the last game, I didn't have a full session of material. Because basically what I did is I set up the game so they would have to choose what the conclusion of the game was, how they were going to approach this problem. I pitted them against two sides. They were in the middle of this situation, and it really could go either way. Whatever they did, would affect the outcome. So it was basically a no-win situation kind of thing, and I wanted to see how they got out of it. And both sides had a really interesting time with it. It was really fun. But yeah, for the last session, I just had kind of the last bit of information they got that they needed to make their decisions, and then I just let them go with whatever conclusion they wanted to do. So, and it filled out perfectly. The time, Yeah. But as a game master, you have to always be looking out for, the pacing of, like we talked about earlier, the pacing of the game. If I let the pacing slow too much, the game would have gone on too long. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't have concluded. So you've got to keep that going. You've got to do things to keep that going.
Well, that really brings us to the one thing that I find with short campaigns that a lot of people happen. They play it as though it's a long campaign, and they get bogged down in certain events.
Right.
A combat or something. You might, like, they run half the session is one combat.
Right.
You know, if you're only playing 3 to 5 sessions, half a session on one combat, you're draining a lot of time. So you're really wasting a lot of narrative time, you know, getting bogged down in that situation or, you know, event or whatever that's happening.
Right.
So that's a pitfall you need to avoid. In a long campaign where you might be playing for years and years and years, and you meet like every couple of weeks or whatever, then it's not that much of a problem. You know, if it takes the whole session is one combat, it doesn't really matter, because you know you've got ample time to play through.
Right.
But when you've only got that 3 to 5 sessions, you've only got that limited amount of time. Getting bogged down is actually dangerous and detrimental to your game and ever doing it again. Right.
And I was always, you know, in a one shot, you're always looking at the time. You're making sure that the game, you may have to add material or cut material, but it's kind of exasperated in a short campaign like that, where I have a limited amount of time to run the campaign. So I really had to be mindful, and my instinct was correct. Like, it was like every session ended exactly where I thought it would end. So I was really happy with that. But you'll start to get that instinct, like how much can you fit your style of gaming. How much can you fit in a session?
Yeah.
You know?
And a session is typically, if you're lucky, 4 hours long.
Yeah.
You know, human beings, after about 4 hours, they need some kind of break.
Right.
And the break is where things start to break down.
Yes.
You know, that's when people are checking their phones and they've got a message, they've got to go, they've got to do what, you know, it's like, I've forgotten the stove was on. You know, all these things, just let your house burn down. You know, just like we're trying to play a game here. So, you know, like all these sort of things, the moment you've got some kind of stoppage, you should have breaks in your game.
Oh, yeah.
But just remember that the breaks, it is a stop to the game, and then you got to get the ball rolling again. So then you need to end media res again.
Right.
You need to, you know, pick up the pacing. You need to do all these things as though you had started a whole new session.
Right.
Most sessions you can be very lucky if you run more than 4 hours. If you can get like an 8-hour session in, you have to be like on a Saturday or a Sunday, and you're starting in the morning and ending in the evening.
Right.
Because if you start at 6 o'clock in the evening and run an 8-hour session, you'll be running to like 2, 3 in the morning, or even what would it be? My maths again. All right, forget about the maths. I don't do maths. Or math, as the case may be.
Well, if you start at 8, it would be like 12, but... So another thing too is to look at, like, you know, even like Wizards of the Coast kind of does short campaigns for their introductory. We were talking about it's good for a new DM to kind of do a more manageable short campaign than like just launch them into this huge, you know, world. The starting stuff for D&D is like essentially a short campaign, right? It's not, you know, it's a limited area, you know, a limited adventure, enough of an adventure to give you like a nice arc, but not too much where, you know, it's going to be a long campaign, essentially. So even their official products really realize that for the starting DM, for someone, because these are designed for new DMs and new players, for a starting DM, it's overwhelming to get like a huge book and then, you know, like Horde of the Dragon Queen or, you know, whatever, one of the numerous books they have. So it's a great starting place, and it's you know, if they're doing it for a reason, and the reason is more manageable for a new DM.
I give it 1 frog.
1 frog. 1 whiffer.
On the whiffer system. Hopefully you do want to see more of us, so we have a website, questgivers.com, where you can purchase system-neutral modules and the whole full-on campaign. That helps financially support this channel so that we can bring you this free content on YouTube. And we thank everyone who has been purchasing our modules and supports us on our Kickstarter, which is on September 1st. That is hopefully going to fund like the last one did.
Yeah.
So we'll be able to bring you a physical product. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on Friday next week.
Bye, everybody.